watching Novi Pulse, a show that lets you, the viewer, get an inside look at the trends and the people who run today's local and global businesses in the community of Novi. I'm Greg Chapman, and together we'll see what it takes to be a leader in Novi. Recognition of the value of pet ownership grows every day. According to the American Pet Product Manufacturers Association, more than 62% of U.S. households have one or more pet. 65 million households have dogs, and over 77 million households have cats. A pet is more than just an animal. A pet can be a child's best friend, a beloved member of the family, or a companion to prevent a lonely life. People shop at pet stores where they can find answers to their pet questions, where they know their pet will receive special attention. And customer service at a Petland store is very different from the service you may have experienced at most retail stores. That's because Petland pet counselors are trained to ask questions of customers to determine what their pet eats, how their pet is housed, how their pet's behavior is managed, and what kind of equipment is used to make a pet care easier and more effective. Joining us today is Bob Thorn of Petland in 12 Oaks Mall. Bob, it's great to have you here with us today.
It's good to be here, Greg.
Great. Bob, tell us a little bit about Petland.
Okay. Well, I've owned the franchise in the 12 Oaks Mall since October of 2000. It was an existing franchise. The previous owner wanted to retire, so I left the auto industry after 27 years to purchase that store, and I purchased it because I felt it could make a difference for people and pets, and I've never really looked back.
Great. And what are you? How did you? You recently told me how you got in the business, but what prompted you to purchase a pet store? I mean, where'd the idea come from?
Well, I was in the auto industry and senior management for a good number of years, but in my heart, I'd always wanted my own small business. Started working with a business broker. Told him that I wanted to purchase a business. I gave him a value range that I was looking for. Told him I wanted nothing to do with retail, and darned if he didn't show me this little pet store in the mall. And I went home and told my wife at that time of 27 years that, you know what, I'm going to buy this pet store because I can make a difference for people and pets. I've always done a lot of community service work, and I saw this as an opportunity to not only own my own small business finally, but to go out and make a difference in the community. We go out and visit daycare centers and elementary schools and assisted living facilities with pets every week. I visit between 2,500 and 3,000 school children every year with pets.
Oh, wow.
So that's all part of the business. And I just saw that it was a good fit for me. And I saw it as an opportunity to grow the business. I've doubled the business's size since I purchased it. We've got additional employees now, and just all good things. It feels good to own that pet store.
Great. So, I mean, the pet store was a natural fit. Now, was there any particular reason why you chose Novi as a location?
Well, Novi is a strong shopping community. It's a strong community financially, economically. It's a very sound area. Has been for a very long time. It still has growth. One of the few communities in Michigan that still has growth. The business climate here is just, it's the best in the state.
Okay, that's great. You've spent a lot of time building the store, obviously. You like the store, you like Novi. Tell me a little bit about the value of a pet store. I mean, I walk into a pet store, and to me, on the surface, it seems like pet stores are all the same.
Sure.
But in talking to you, you've kind of brought to light that there are different aspects of the business that we don't see unless you're actually involved in customer service, having the experience in dealing with you. Can you tell us how you differentiate your business?
Yeah. Well, I differentiate my business in a lot of ways. And first off, I've got something in my blood that came through the auto industry called continuous improvement. And when I bought this store, I saw opportunities to improve it because there were things that I saw could be done that weren't being done. For example, I'm the first pet store in the country to offer 3 free veterinary visits with every puppy and kitten. I offer spay and neuter with every puppy and kitten. I offer 60 days contagious health care coverage, 2 months. Your cat or puppy has an ear infection, eye infection, bacterial, viral, any issue at all. It's all covered free of charge. Who offers those things? Nobody does. Every one of our puppies and kittens go home with a complete starter kit. We're the first in the country to do all these things. We have recovery programs. They're all microchipped, things like that, that really distinguish my business from any other pet store in the state of Michigan. But now others are stepping up, and that makes me even feel better about it because I'm leading the cause to make the lives of pets better. Pets make our lives better, but my job is to help you and to help the lives of pets by making their lives better too.
Okay, great. So, you've talked about, implementing all these new types of, innovative, I guess, services to the customer. Now, you had mentioned that there are other people following in your footsteps. Now, would that be through the Petland franchise?
Yeah. Other Petland franchises and other independents as well are following my lead, because I'm forcing the market to have to step up to these higher standards as well. And that's just an additional, it's not why I did it. I did it because I put the animals first in everything I do. Everything I do.
Okay, absolutely. That's fabulous. Now, do you have any plans to take this model and expand it to different areas of the country?
Yeah. Well, I took over another Petland store just recently this year in the Houston, Texas area. It's at Missouri City, Texas. It's a suburb of Houston, Texas. And I am trying to, well, in fact, I've implemented everything that I've done here in Michigan in Texas. And I'm the first pet store in Texas to offer all of these things as well.
Really? So you're on the leading edge of the pet services, I guess we could say.
Whether I like it or not, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely. You talk a lot about the business model. Now, customers, they see this model, but I think customer service goes hand in hand with your business model. I remember when we were talking, you had mentioned, I think it was 3 sisters, and they're now, going to be your customers for life. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of experiences with our customers. First off, we have more people per square foot than anybody in the pet industry. We really believe in servicing our customers, thereby making their pets' lives better by education. We spend a lot of time training people, and we really try and give our customers very good service. We're not a warehouse setup where you walk in, pick out your own stuff, and can't find anybody to help you. We've got people that are trained and ready to help you and can advise you and make recommendations for you. We've got lots and lots of customers, and one of the stories I shared with you were 3 sisters that come down to the 12 Oaks Mall from the Flint area every year. They get a hotel and they just shop all weekend, just before Christmas every year. And one year they came in and they bought 2 puppies. One for their mother, which I'm always cautious about buying a gift, a pet as a gift. I recommend you never do that. But they knew their mother well enough, and she had had the loss of a pet recently, and they knew that their mother was looking for another puppy, and they knew what she was looking for. And so they purchased a puppy for their mother, and then they purchased one for one of the sisters, bought one. Well, it was late at night. The mall had already closed down, and they were parked way the other side of the mall. So I piled them all in my truck and all the puppies and all the supplies and stuff, and drove them around the other side of the mall, and got them all packed up and on the road, and they headed off to home. And every year they just come back and visit with us, and every once in a while we'll get a postcard in the mail to say hi and maybe a picture of one of the puppies or whatever. And it's just nice to connect with people on that level. And we literally have thousands of customers that come back and visit and tell us how their puppies are doing, or kittens are doing, or their other pets. So we sell rabbits and hamsters and parakeets and other small pets as well.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And I mean, that says a lot to your customer service. You have people like that, customers that are willing to express their appreciation of the value that you bring. I mean, it's saying you're doing the right thing.
Well, in the mall, you get a lot of people from all over. The 12 Oaks Mall draws people from a 50-mile radius. I sell to people in Toledo and Jackson and Flint and Rochester Hills, and they just come from all over. But I'm proud to tell you as well that over 50% of my business is referral business.
That's incredible.
There's no greater compliment than to have customers that refer their friends and relatives and neighbors to me.
Exactly.
There's no greater compliment. So I know that we're on the right track, we're doing the right things, and we've been doing it for a long time.
Absolutely. Now, looking at the philanthropic aspects of your business and customer or community service, I know you've been that's a major part of your life.
Yes.
And it's brought a great deal of satisfaction to you. Can you tell us about some of the things that you've done in the community, some of the things that you're really proud of?
Yeah. Well, first off, my business is here in Novi, and I live in the community of Van Buren Township, or more commonly known as it surrounds the city of Belleville. That's where I grew up, and I have a home on the lake there, and my wife and I grew up there, our children have grown up there. I've done a lot of community service work there. I'm a T-ball coach. I'm in my 23rd season as a T-ball coach.
Oh, wow, okay.
Started with my youngest daughter, and I've just never stopped, because I really believe that for these little kids, if they have a great experience as playing on a team and performing in public at the age of 4, 5, and 6 years old in their social development, that's something that will stay with them their entire lives. But I've also done a lot of fundraising. I've raised over $1 million for people that need experimental transplants where insurance wouldn't pay for it, type of thing. I'm board member on a few nonprofits, two of which I'm a founding board member of, that are in the interest of helping others. And I serve on the Novi Chamber of Commerce Executive Board.
Absolutely.
I participate in most of their activities and like to donate to the Chamber in those causes as well. And that's pretty much in a short summary of the things that I like to do. I already spoke about the community service work of going out and visiting with animals and that sort of thing. That's just all an important part of who I am. For me, it's not enough to just own a business in Novi. My business has to be a part of the community. And then I'm truly a business that's not only servicing the community, but truly servicing people and animals at a very personal level, not just at a business level.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can sell a puppy, anybody can sell a kitten, but it's the ability to teach the person who owns the pet how to properly take care of it, how to give it proper care,
Exactly.
and you know, do other things that you had said.
Yep.
And I think that's a great model, and obviously it's paying off for you.
And one other element that I've just added to the business on a community service level is I'm doing my own access television show now.
Okay.
And it's called Pets Make Life Better. And the premise of the show is to teach people how to make their pet's life better. And my first segment was released last week and should be showing pretty soon. And it talks specifically about the first two reasons people give up on their puppies in this country. First is housebreaking issues, and second is chewing issues, and how to avoid those problems entirely. So that's another element of my community service I've just added.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it makes a difference for pets.
It certainly does. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion with Bob Thorn.
Let's take a walk. Down paths of green star stone, over dunes of Kalkaska sand, across bridges, up boulevards, along grand verandas, through the priceless and the timeless. Let's walk out of the world as we know it and into the world we don't. A new trailhead awaits. Where it leads is pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
You're watching Novi Pulse, and I'm Greg Chapman. Today, joining us is Bob Thorn from Petland. Bob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Bob, you have 4 children, and 2 of them, followed in your footsteps and are currently working with you. I find it very interesting. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. When I bought the business back in 2000, one of the concerns I had was that in purchasing this existing business, I was also purchasing the existing employees that seemed to be doing a pretty good job for the business. And it was a significant purchase in my life, and so I went home, had a family meeting, and I said to my children, I said, it sounds like a lot of fun for Dad to own a pet store, and you may or may not be interested in working at the pet store at some point, but you got to remember one thing, and that is that if you do come to work in the pet store, you have to be better than the best, because I can't have employees saying, well, the owner's son or the owner's daughter type of thing. You've got to be better than the best. And over the course of time, they've all worked in the store, and 2 of my 4 children still work there part-time. And the one thing that I'm truly a little embarrassed about is the fact that never once have any of my children ever let me down. And I'm embarrassed that I ever said that to them in the first place. I should have known that they would never let me down. They do just a wonderful, wonderful job for me there. My daughter, Shauna, my oldest daughter, works there part-time. Just blessed my wife and I with our first grandchild, her and her husband, a few weeks ago. We're excited about that. Has a huge, huge following of customers, Shauna does, because she takes the time to educate. She takes the time. If you teach somebody something, they become loyal to you. If you just sell something to somebody, this is something that anybody in business should know. If you just sell somebody something, there's no loyalty at all. There's no connection at all. But if you learn something from somebody, then you want to come back.
Oh, absolutely.
You feel like you've been truly serviced. So that's where we get away from the warehouse aspect of it. And then my son Brandon, who's still in college, does all the maintenance work for me in the store, and he does a lot of the book works in the store as well, and pretty handy with the computer too, so he helps out with those types of things. And it's really a blessing an unexpected blessing to have the children involved in the business, because they're a little older now, and while children often grow away from family, and they're always family, there's a connection that we have because we have the business in common that's really special. It really is. They're always looking out for my best interest.
Oh, that's good.
Not that they wouldn't, but relative to the business and our family and that sort of thing, we've got all these things in common that we might not otherwise have. So if there are people out there that are thinking about a business and they want to involve their family, I say go for it. It's certainly worked well for me.
Yeah, that's great. Well, obviously you've done a good job raising your children. I mean,
they're good
comments
people.
like
Carol
that,
and I are so proud of them. They've all grown up to be really good people.
Well, you've obviously taught them to be good people. Are there any specific values that you think that you've taught them along the way that would be important?
Well, certainly there are a lot of values, but relative to business, I think they've learned from me the value of being passionate about what you're doing. I love what I'm doing. I absolutely love what I'm doing. I love talking about pets. I love talking to people about their pets. I love solving problems that people have with their pets. The pet industry as a whole, I found, has done a relatively poor job of educating the public on all these different products that are out there that solve problems. Almost every product out there that you can buy for a pet solves some sort of problem or prevents a potential problem. Yet the general public, the average consumer, doesn't know that.
It's because they're not educated.
Exactly. So I think if you get passionate about it, people get caught up in your passion, and they start to listen to what you've got to say, and they become open to what you say because they see that you care. And if you care, then they're open to listening, then they're open to learning, and then ultimately their pet benefits from that.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think my children have learned, and a lot of my employees have learned, that by being passionate and showing that you love what you're doing can really make a difference. But passion isn't enough in business. The other value I think that's really important on a business and personal level is a leader. Passion by itself isn't good enough for to be a leader. People will get caught up in passion, but they won't hang on to it for long. You have to be able to lead people as well. They have to respect you. You have to listen to what they've got to say. And you've got to be creative, and you've got to be able to present things to them in a creative way and see as well, present to them so they can see as well what's in it for them.
Exactly.
So that they're motivated to follow you as a leader as well. And then the third thing that I would say that I think is really important is patience. And sometimes in business it's very difficult to have the patience that you need. But if you've ever read the book, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, probably the one key element there that I try to practice the most is to seek first to understand and then to be understood. And when I don't, I always criticize myself. If I seek to be understood first, it's usually a mistake. I need to understand that person first and then to be understood myself.
Absolutely.
So those 3 elements I think are probably the strongest values that I try and pass on to my children. I think I have successfully passed on to my children and to my employees and to anybody that'll listen to me like you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you've done a great job with your children. I mean, teaching them obviously the values and your employees, but was there a defining experience for you that helped you shape your career?
You're going to have to help me there because I don't remember what it was that I might have talked about that drove that question.
Well, when I say a defining experience, was there someone in particular that helped mold your career or a particular experience through maybe college or business ownership?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
There have been several people in my life that have made a difference to me. Swimming coach in high school that I wasn't the best swimmer, but my coach never gave up on me and always gave me credit for giving my best. And that's all I needed to keep me going, was knowing that somebody was supporting me, that I was doing my best. The superintendent of our school district when I was growing up had a significant influence on my life, and the role model that he played, and the truly humble person that he truly is. And I still have a friendship with that superintendent. He's long ago retired, but just a wonderful human being that was a good role model for me. in being humble and doing for others. And certainly my own wife, Carol, of 34 years this August, my first and only wife, has had a real positive influence on me and the way I look at things, and she's been sort of a life coach for me as well.
That's great to hear. Now, from a personal perspective, what do you have planned for the next 3 to 5 years? Yeah. And do you have, any plans in place, anything that you talked about with your family or business? Yeah.
Well, as being in business, you may know 5-year plans are out the window, right? Nobody does the 5-year plan stuff anymore.
It's good to forecast.
But it's good to forecast.
Exactly.
I want to start up some consulting business. In fact, I've already taken the formal steps to start up a consulting business. I'd like to do a little bit more with Petland. I'm not sure what yet. We'll have to see how these things would develop in Texas. I may decide to do something more here in Michigan. I do like having a place outside of Michigan, both on an economic level, at least temporarily, but also like Houston, Texas is on the same latitude as Orlando, Florida. It's kind of nice there in the winter.
I wouldn't disagree with you at all.
I didn't mind those business trips there in January and February.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But those are things on the horizon. I don't see retirement in the near-term future for me. I'm 54 years old. My wife is retired. She stays home with our 5 dogs and takes care of them and does a bunch of other things. She's retired from Ford Motor Company. She retired. That was a deal her and I made a long time ago that she'd get to retire first and she'd get to retire as soon as possible, and she did. But I'm about as retired as I ever want to be. I love what I do every day, both in terms of community service and in terms of the business.
Well, with as much energy as you have and everything you've talked about, I've got clients who can't retire. They just can't do it. They've got too much passion and drive, and playing golf, sitting around is for some people, but for a lot of the business leaders today, it's not an option. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoy what I'm doing. So for me, it is retirement. If you love what you're doing, aren't you retired already? It's just a different form.
Absolutely, absolutely. Going back to those keys to success, we had talked about the passion, the leadership, being really driven as to what it is that the goal is. Is there anything else you want to add to that or talk about that? I just find that really interesting when you talk about those topics. Yeah.
Well, on a business level, the other day when we were chatting, you asked me something about my competitors, and you had a little surprised look on your face when I answered. And the answer about my competitors is, my competitors are Best Buy and Circuit City and Sears, and when they're running a special. And the reason those are my competitors is they're after my customers' discretionary dollars. I want you to come spend $800 or $1,000 or more with me on a new puppy and all the attendant supplies and the spay and neuters and all that sort of stuff, rather than go spend it on a big screen TV.
Exactly.
They're truly my competition. PetSmart and Petco and others are really just warehouses that are serving a market that's already got pets. They're not there to educate for the most part. They're there to just be a one-stop shopping service for your pets, and those are just fine. So I just don't feel that they're my competition. Truly, Best Buy, Circuit City, and other large organizations like that are after your discretion dollars, your big discretion dollars, just like I am.
Exactly.
And those are truly my competitor. So I think it's important that we understand who our true competitors are. Intuitively you'd say, well, it's got to be all the other pet stores. It's really a counterintuitive thing.
Oh, exactly. But when you take the time to understand what your business model is with the education versus your warehouse, like a Walmart or another discretionary place, it makes sense.
Yep. It works for us. It works really well. And best of all, it works best for the pets.
Yep, best for the pets and best for the owners. Makes their lives very good. Well, I have one final question, and that is, if you were to offer some sort of suggestion or advice to today's young people coming into the world of business, media, politics, what have you, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. Well, I think education is extremely important, and it's been said many, many times. But education is really nothing more than a toolbox. And to get out and get experience attendant with your education are the two things that are going to be the most valuable to anybody. The other thing attendant with that is get a broad base of experience. don't get too specialized, because in today's economy, in today's global economy, you've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to think on your feet. You've got to be able to think in a diversified way, not just in a focused way. Now, if you're going to be a brain surgeon, okay, you've got to be focused on just the brain. But if you're going to be a business person, you've got to be able to adapt and adjust and make changes and see opportunities and see other problems before they really are a problem. You got to become an expert at being able to move those cinder blocks that others throw in the road out of the way and keep moving forward. And you do that through education, experience, and keeping an open mind so that you can view the world in a broad sense, not a narrow sense.
Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
You're welcome, Craig.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining Bob Thorn, owner of Petland at 12 Oaks Mall and I on Novi Pulse. Please visit our website at www.novipulse.com for upcoming showtimes, to listen to previews of future guests, and watch this and other programs at your convenience. I'm Greg Chapman, and you've been watching Novi Pulse.